So if you're still on the fence about trying Cataclysm Classic, you've come to the right video. Nothing has probably divided the community more than the announcement of this re-release expansion, let's be honest. There is a lot of devoted hatred towards Cataclysm Classic, but is it genuinely justified? Or is it an example of very misguided bad memory? A few months ago I decided to find out. I played Cataclysm for a couple of months on a private server, and if I was to sum up my thoughts from that experience, it would be the following. If you enjoyed Wrath Classic, there isn't really much of a reason as to why you wouldn't enjoy Cataclysm Classic. Fundamentally, they aren't that much different. So, do you like World of Warcraft raiding? Do you like raiding that will be slightly more difficult than TBC and vanilla? Then I assure you, this expansion will light your candle. And on top of this, the overall raiding experience is drastically improved upon from Wrath Classic. It's great for both hardcore and casual players. As time went on, MMO players simply became better players, including their hardware. Therefore, Blizzard had to design the game for casual and hardcore players. This is ultimately why Heroic was added to the game. Casual players can enjoy normal mode, hardcore players can enjoy Heroic mode. Not only did the raid design cater to different player skill levels, but also to different styled guilds. Some people like more close-knit guilds, some people like being in huge community guilds. Regardless, since all the raid content can now be completed as a 10-man, roster problems are much less of a problem. The raid bosses themselves are also a dramatic upgrade from Wrath Classic. There's a lot more fun and creative mechanics to deal with, the theming and vibe of raids felt a lot more immersive and alive, boss rooms that fill with lava, fights requiring you to fly up and kill flying enemies, not to mention how one boss fight actually takes place on the spine of Deathwing. The fastest route to level up in the open world is provided by the Resident XP add-on. You can find the download link for that in the description. As much as I really like the class design in Wrath, now that I've played a few classes in Cataclysm and I've researched all of them in a lot of detail for videos, I honestly think Cataclysm has much more inventive, diverse and unique class design. I'm really struggling what class to pick still, to be honest. In vanilla, what a class brought to a group made it unique. The mage brings water and food, the warlock brings a soulstone, and the shaman brings great totem buffs. But if you look at the core design elements of vanilla classes, a lot of the time honestly they are just carbon copies of each other with a colour change. A mage for the most of vanilla will just cast Frostbolt or Firebolt. A warlock will mostly just cast Shadowbolt. It's basically the same spell with a different colour. A rogue will buff itself with Slice and Dice, a paladin with Seals, a shaman with Wind Fury. They're different, but pretty much the same design. There really wasn't any unique and interesting rotation and DPS patterns in vanilla. One of the criticisms of Cataclysm is classes have become too homogenized, because most classes have the same kind of utility. In vanilla, classes had much more unique utility, which is why they were so incredibly imbalanced. But the advantage of more classes having the same utility abilities is more classes are useful, and therefore players can play more playstyles and specializations and still get invited to groups. Plus it's generally just easier to make groups when more classes are useful. It's a gameplay and quality of life improvement, even if it supposedly means that it makes a class feel less unique. But Blizzard, during WoW's development, shifted their focus on making classes more unique based more on how they played, rather than the utility they brought to a group. This meant classes developed way more fun and interesting ways to play the class with their creative and unique playstyle patterns, and a lot of unique flair. Shadow Priest got Shadow Orbs. You optimise your Mind Blast and Mind Spike DPS abilities around this resource, along with increased dot damage and dot snapshotting. Unholy Death Knights optimise extending the duration of their diseases with Festering Strike, and they also have pet buffs to deal with. Many classes like the Demonology Warlock have fun procs that you have to quickly react to take advantage of for the increased damage. There's also so many more fun cooldowns, and different things to time perfectly in order to optimise your DPS. My point being is the skill ceiling of many classes has increased because of the added complexities to their design, and none of the classes are too complicated to learn to the point where it becomes a problem. They're just more interesting, and I would argue that this makes a class feel more unique. Just because one class can use a kick and another class can't, it doesn't make it that unique in my opinion. A class's theme and playstyle makes a class unique to me. Although the talent trees were stripped down, honestly it doesn't really feel like it. They only really got rid of the boring junk talents and added way more glyphs to play around with. So imagine vanilla WoW talents with loads of extra augmentations to add to your build. As I've already said in previous videos, Cataclysm really does feel like a Classic Plus experience. If you're doing pre-questing guys, the best ones to get are definitely the dungeon quests, even the daily heroic ones, but the weekly raid quest won't grant any XP. If you've already done those quests, then what you want to do is just stack a load of dailies from Northrend, from the Sons of Hodor, Ogrim's Hammer, and the Argent Tournament. I've actually made an optimal pre-questing route for all subscribers. Just go to my channel page and check out my subscriber only video. The 5-man content is also solid in Cataclysm. Not only do the dungeons provide a very good challenge for more skilled players, but the atmosphere and the tension you feel inside of these dungeons is unbeatable, particularly in the heroic remake of Deadmines, where you have to run all the way through the dungeon killing mobs, and if you don't do that fast enough, you will get engulfed by fire. Probably one of the greatest pieces of content added to World of Warcraft has to be the Karazhan 5-man remake. This was when Blizzard really started taking 5-man content seriously and started enhancing it to make it relevant endgame content rather than just a stepping stone into raids. The earliest concept of this was actually in Cataclysm with the Halls of Origination. This is a huge 8-boss raid where you have to explore Forgotten Titan Temple with Bran Bronzebeard. It really does feel like a mini raid, and it ends with a fun gimmicky boss at the end that involves you riding a camel. Plus most of the bosses are optional, so you don't always have to do all of the 8 bosses on reruns if you don't need to. As much as it is sad to see the old world destroyed, I think many people will be surprised on the improvements to the open world questing. Blizzard made much more effort to communicate story while you're leveling up. They did this with RP moments, voice acting, and mini cinematics. Blizzard developers have actually confirmed that they ran out of time to develop the original vanilla WoW zones. They did the Alliance ones first and kind of ran out of time to do the Horde ones, and it's why they feel a bit rushed and barren. But Cataclysm was Blizzard's chance to remedy this, to finally finish what they originally intended for these zones. Some zones are also very unique now. Thousand Needles gives you a boat to help you questing, Vashir gives you a rideable underwater seahorse, Stone Talon Mountains has a full-on war taking place where you can actually rank up. The quests themselves make much more effort to be unique, other than just kill this mob, pick up this item, with lyrical moments, comical companion NPCs that take you along the way, and so much more immersive exploration moments, especially leveling up in Ul'dum with the knockoff Indiana Jones. The walking starter area Gilneas was so good it felt like you're inside a film rather than an MMO, since it was such a cinematic experience. You won't be able to help but feel that the new Cata zones feel so much more alive. Now, it was difficult for Blizzard to create a compelling antagonist after the Lich King, but to be honest with Deathwing, I think they really nailed it. Obviously, one of the main themes of Cataclysm is, while we've been away fighting in Northrend, the whole world of Azeroth was nearly destroyed by Deathwing, and you've got to go back and sort it out. 15-year-old me queuing outside of Game at midnight to buy this game was very excited. The threat of Deathwing's mindless destruction was evocative, and a badass vibe for the expansion. Honestly, Deathwing does kind of freak me out a little bit. I just find it so crazy how he was so powerful enough to practically destroy most of Azeroth, nearly. And the fact that it actually happens in this expansion is way cooler. There's so many films and so many franchises out there where there's these bad guys trying to destroy the world, and it just never happens. For once in this game, it does happen. Say what you will about Cataclysm, but it's f***ing cool. Definitely way cooler than the following expansion anyway. Guys, I'd recommend giving Cataclysm at least a little chance. It's nowhere near as bad as people make out, or as bad as you remember, trust me. The only real reason why people hated Cataclysm back in the day was the LFR, and the fact that Dragon Soul was out for way too long and people got absolutely sick of that content drought. That's not going to be a problem in Cata Classic. In fact, the content will be coming out even faster than usual, and we'll have Mists of Pandaria very soon, which is also pretty underrated expansion too, to be honest. Before you head off guys, please subscribe to my second channel where I do non-WoW videos, I really appreciate it. My name is Metagoblin, until my next video, ciao.